Blog Talk Radio.
This is Rock and Roll Reverend Sue with another great edition of Transitions to Transformation Radio Show. So I just wanted to mention a wonderful lady and a wonderful book, Elizabeth Joyce, and she has a new book out called The New Spiritual Chakras and How to Work with Them. And I am so excited that she has decided to join us. But first I'll give a brief synopsis of the book. In order to know how to heal consciousness, we first need reliable means to know what it is to heal and to have consciousness, or to become conscious. A new energy arrived on December 21st, 2012, allowing all humans to access the higher dimensions through the new spiritual chakras. We need to understand that the new energies are available to everyone on this planet to raise our vibration levels and hence raise our consciousness. How can this be accomplished? All the details are here for you to begin the work. Now, I want to introduce a really amazing lady. Born as one of two sets of identical twins, Elizabeth Joyce has been psychic since birth. Named one of the world's greatest psychics by Citadel Press 2004, she is profiled in 12 books. She is a spiritual healer and gives personal psychic readings worldwide. Miss Joyce is a professional astrologer, spiritual counselor, energy healer, medium, and clairvoyant who interprets dreams and teaches the new energies of the fifth dimension. Elizabeth has been a writer and columnist for 30 years and is currently writing astrology columns for Wisdom Magazine and Toady Publishing. And her articles have appeared in the New York Daily News and the New York Times. She is a spiritual healer and gives personal readings worldwide. Elizabeth has been teaching metaphysical classes for the past 30 years. In 1986, just before the harmonic convergence, she was blessed to be initiated into the Hopi tribe by grandfather. She was just nominated into the 2010 edition of she was nominated in the 2010 edition of the Stanford Who's Who in Metaphysics for her spiritual healing work and focus on community service. And she was included in the revised book, America's Top 100 Psychics 2014. Now, Elizabeth has studied with Margaret Stetner, Indira Ivy, Louise Hay, Dr. Deepak Chopra, we've all heard of him, Yogi Bhajan, Mark Tremblay, and Amachi, the Hugging Saint. She has trained with Dr. Eric Pearl, and he is a reconnective healer. She is also a licensed minister. And she was one of the very few psychics worldwide that picked up on the Haitian earthquake, the Philippines earthquake, tornadoes, and the Twin Towers tragedy in New York City. Thousands of people have witnessed Elizabeth Joyce's incredible psychic powers on TV shows such as Unsolved Mysteries, Beyond Chance, and The Psychic Detectives, as well as CNN News. And she is a frequent guest on radio shows across the country, and I'm so very happy that she's decided to take the time out to be on our show. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Elizabeth Joyce. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you tonight?
I'm very well. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great.
Oh, that's
Can you hear me
good.
fine?
It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Wow, you have an amazing gift. Well, I should say many amazing gifts, and you also had a near-death experience. Did you want to talk a little bit about that? How your gifts came to you a little bit more through that too?
Well, it's not that they came to me more. It's that I was aware of what they were, because I was born this way, and a lot of things that are normal to me are not normal to other people, which I didn't realize. One was hearing the end of a sentence before a person finishes it, or just being able to see colors around a person, or knowing if they're not feeling well. I always was that way. But the head-on car crash that I had in '79 made me realize that there was a lot more to study, and I knew I wanted to find a teacher at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just an amazing thing when you can see colors around people. I too see colors around people, and it wasn't until I was about 41 that I discovered that, these colors were indeed auras, and it's a human energy field generated by the chakras.
Yes.
And it was just amazing to learn that. Your book is amazing. I read it, and
thank you.
Yeah, it was very easy to understand, and you have meditations. You have, you explain the chakras, and especially, everybody hears about the 7 main chakras, and
yes.
If you could touch upon what are the new 5 chakras? I mean, I read the book, but everybody else out there probably wants to know, what are these new 5 chakras?
The most important thing is the way that the chakras are designed around the head. I thought that was amazing. The 8th chakra is above the 7th, and then you go down the line to the back of your head where your baby spot is, and that's your 8.5 chakra, which is considered your filter. And then in the back of the neck between the 2 occipital bones at the top of the spine is the 9th chakra. That causes, when that starts to open, that will cause a laser line between the 9th and the 6th chakra going through the pituitary and pineal glands, giving you much more connection with the universe and much more ability to connect with others or to see things that other people can't see. And then it goes above that to the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the 10th chakra is considered the new heart center. The 10th chakra is the heart center of the universal body. So both the new set of chakras connects the physical body with the universal body so that you can become familiar with it, strengthen yourself with it, and use it to project and heal and go anywhere you want in the world or off the planet, on the planet or off.
Wow, that's just amazing. And I know the pineal gland plays a lot of plays a very big part in this too. It's almost like a mirror inside the mind that just reflects what's, the energy coming through these chakras.
Well, it was new energy. It just came on December 12th. It was made available to everyone in the world, which is, of course, why we were told that 2012 was going to be such an important time. The importance that came was that the body has now opened up to access this higher energy coming from the double helix in the middle of our galaxy. Whereas before we could not, as what you want to say, mundane individuals, connect to that. Now we can, which I think is fabulous. It's going to take a while. It's not anything that's instant. It's going to take a while. This is maturity, and this is growing and absorbing and adjusting to the new flow. It takes time.
Oh, yes. So. I can imagine. It's been, I'd say it's been about 8 years since I've, been working with the chakras. And, when it first happens, it really changes your life in a profound way. This energy, this new energy that goes through. Previously, I had been worked on by a couple of friends that are Reiki masters, and my heart chakra was actually located underneath my arm. And putting it back together, it was like, wow, I really felt it, and my whole life started changing around for the better. And
it does, doesn't it? That's so terrific. It's amazing that when you find a deep understanding inside about why something may have happened to you, or how you're affecting others, or how they've affected you, it's amazing to feel the healing. You can physically feel it. Isn't that true?
Oh, absolutely.
You feel the healing, and you know that you've gone through a healing, and you're just different. It's hard to explain. You're just different.
Yeah, I mean, it completely changed my life, and once you start working with your chakras and understanding energy, really, it takes you from a bad, I can't say everybody comes from a bad place, but I know I did. I had some serious issues in my life, and I really had to work on my chakras and especially the way I was thinking, and it really changed my life. It's
the serious issues that we all have are usually planned for us to have so that we can open up the soul to a greater awareness of God and love and, what we're here for. And it's so, in a way, it's a blessing because somehow when you go through these things, you're better off than if you didn't go through them.
Oh, right. Definitely.
But you wish it could be a little easier.
Oh, yes. I went through a lot of changes. It's like, I previously, my second husband, immediately, within 2 weeks, I had, things changed in our relationship. I moved to a different state, within 2 weeks of doing this work. It was really intense with me. And
well, when I first discovered what chakras were, I was in the middle of moving as well. I left a job, I left the place where I had grown up, and I moved up to Vermont. And that's where I met Indira, who was my second teacher. My first teacher was Meg. And Meg taught the chakras, but I didn't really understand their connection to off-the-planet energies until I met Indira. And that's when I brought in the India philosophies and the philosophies from the East and incorporated them into my belief system. And I had incredible visions and incredible visitations.
Yes, absolutely. I believe it. When I was learning Reiki, and I was, in the very first, there's 4 different levels, everybody out there to learn Reiki, and the first level was what really kicked in the new energy in me, and I was starting to see symbols, and I was starting to see very vivid, almost like a videotape, like a hologram. Holograms.
Yes, I do. Of course.
Yeah.
I see things that way too. You see them like a movie, but there's more symbols coming. They're called the divine seals. I have all those as well. I took this book actually out of my workbook. I wrote the book Ascension, Accessing the Fifth Dimension, and then I wrote the workbook. And it took me 18 months to write the workbook, and I lost everything. I went through every challenge possible, just about, writing that book. I mean, you talk about spiritual testing. I was tested left and right every day, and it was very painful. But I got it all down, and then this summer I was told in my visions to take the spiritual chakras out of the workbook and put them in their own book, and that's what this one is. The new spiritual chakras and how to work with them. And it's very detailed, very, very plain, very detailed, very simple. And if you work with 2 things with this book, you'll really come along. One is I like to meditate to something called Ardas, A-R-D-A-S. It's chanting music by the Yogi Bhajan group, and it means prayer beyond prayer. And it's one of the oldest mantras known. And you can get it on the Crimson series, and it's number 6. So if you play Ardas while you're meditating, it will really open you up, because what it does is it electrically removes all of your blocks and your fears while you're listening to it. So you do the meditation, and then I also wrote a new invocation. Alice Bailey, back in the 30s? Alice Bailey, she wrote the Great Invocation. And she wrote From the Point of Light. We have a new one now, and the new invocation is about the spiritual chakras. And when you recite it, you can literally feel yourself being lifted up off the floor. And that's why I think that once we get to develop ourselves to opening that ninth and 10th chakra, we're probably going to learn how to levitate.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is fascinating.
It is fascinating, and I've levitated a few times so far, and this is God honest truth. Ever since I was a kid, but there was one incident in particular where my ex-husband seen me floating above the bed, and he had to even push down with his two hands. He couldn't even get me to move a little bit. So this is
no,
right
you
after.
can't. You can get hurt. You can't disturb the vibration.
Yeah.
Levitation is vibration. It's becoming almost formless. So you're working with your spiritual body. That's neat that you had that experience. I've had a few of them as well. And the thing that I like is the way that you ride the air. I call it riding the air. You do it with your brain, and it's just really interesting the way that works.
Yeah, it sure is. And, it's so nice that nowadays, we have people like you to explain these things, because when things were happening like this to me as a kid, there was, there was probably information out there, but I just didn't have access to it. And today, the new generations that are being born are just, wow, they're like super sensitive.
Yes, we have the indigo children and the rainbow children and the crystal children. All of them have extra strands of DNA, and all of them are tuned into the higher energies. The picture, the energies that show your lifespan, and they show your Akashic records. That's the ninth chakra. When the ninth chakra opens, you'll have access to the Akashic records. That's why a 3-year-old can look at her mother and say, do you know what? In our last lifetime, I was your mother.
Wow.
And that has happened. Or some of the younger kids can see ahead to what's coming. My foster daughter had a little girl, and the little girl would cry all the time when she was very young, saying, please don't leave me, Mommy, please don't leave me. And when she was 13, her mother passed away.
Oh.
So she knew it from the time she was little.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is.
It's interesting.
It is
but
interesting.
It gives us more compassion, and it gives us more love, and we truly are working with cosmic love and the cosmic energy now. And I know we have a lot of dark things going on right now, and I want everybody to send energy over to Paris, because Paris, the city of lights, will feel the light coming, and they need light. And when you sit and you pray for something like that, it does travel. Your energy does travel to that place to add to, the collection of light that's already going there. But we have this darkness now, and eventually, I think, as we get more advanced in this, there isn't going to be any such thing as this kind of terror.
Yeah, because I believe completely in mind over matter. I've seen it for myself. And, it's just amazing if all of us just put our good energies towards healing ourselves and the earth. It's kind of like the old saying, be the change you wish to be in the world. And,
the trick to it is not to have fear and doubt. Spirit works in its own time and in its own way. And you're not going to get anything that you're not supposed to have. And you're not going to get anything that is going to come before it's time to come. And that's just the way it is. And sometimes there's destruction before reconstruction. So sometimes you have to go through some losses and regroup, and then you'll be open to welcoming something new. Whereas if you had not gone through that, you wouldn't recognize the new opportunities.
That's true. That's very true.
But there's another whole thing to this that people haven't added, Sue, and that happens to be the divine. Working with the divine is a set of invisible guides that are there to guide us and bring us up, so that when we achieve the first level, we can go inside and access guides that will help us get to the second level. And if we know we're not doing it all on ourselves, we're doing it with the universe, and we're leaning on higher wisdom and higher knowledge, then that will give us something called reverence. and we all could use some reverence.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. There's, just to let everybody know out there, there were some symptoms of fifth dimension energy shifts. And, for me, it was headaches, like really bad,
Yep, the divine headaches.
Yeah.
I have a list. I have a list of what they are. A list of ailments that are common in fifth dimension, and one of them is called the divine headaches. I think they're in the Spiritual Chakras book. They should be in the first or second chapter. Yes, here's some of them. Hot flashes at night and day sweats, fluttering pain in the heart area, extreme tiredness, excessive energy, weight gain, losing your memory or feeling spacey, depression, muscle aches and joint pain, nausea, loose bowels and diarrhea, crying for no reason, feeling emotionally vulnerable. These are all symptoms of an energetic shift. And I'm not saying that they're not symptoms of something physical either. So you really need to pay attention and to wonder what came up for you to have that sensation. And if you decide that it came out of the blue this day, then you need to sit and get quiet and allow yourself to be filled with the new energy. Ask that it doesn't disrupt your body and see what happens in 24 hours, because you'll probably be fine the next day.
Yes. I've had all the above, when you were saying the list of symptoms, I was like, yep, check this, check that, like a little bit of everything except for the crying. And I was like, oh my God, when I picked up your book, I was like, oh, thank God, there's finally an explanation for what I'm going through, because it was like, wow, especially since like late September,
yes.
The veil gets thin from that time until, I don't remember.
Well, it's way more than that. It's way more than that. Right now we're in the 2 weeks of darkness. So, of course, the next thing that I'm going to suggest to you after the chakras is to learn astrology, because we're going through astrological changes that are pretty heavy right now. And this one only comes around about every 3 or 4 years, and we're in 2 weeks of darkness, which began on Wednesday, and the Paris event was on Friday. So we will have this energy until right after Thanksgiving weekend, which would be around the 28th or 29th of the month, and then it will lift.
Wow.
So when you're aware of all that, the only thing that you can do, you say you can't do anything and you feel helpless. A lot of people do say that, but what you can do is meditate, work your chakras, and just keep working them and keep searching for your sense of balance. And this will open up all kinds of new energy for you, as well as new knowledge. It's well worth the effort.
Oh yes, absolutely. But it's good. It's good to know what we can do to, prevent the symptoms from getting worse. I was just curious. Do you work with crystals at all? Are there any crystals?
I used to.
You
Don't have to. Don't have to anymore. I used to work with them a lot. In fact, crystals have been fabulous in my life. The only crystals that I like to keep around me now are the clear quartz, and they have to be six-sided or more, because that's what holds the power.
Wow.
So that's something to know. The more sides they have, the more power they have. I have some wonderful, beautiful clear quartz crystals from Brazil, and some of them are six-sided and some of them are seven-sided. And when I was in the middle of a transition in the 80s, I slept in a field of crystals. So I would put those size crystals all around my bed. I had about 20 of them. And I'd sleep on a futon with the crystals all around me. And my goodness, the dreams and the experiences that I had were incredible.
Oh,
and
wow.
It also purifies you, and it makes you more of a healer and more of a focused being, so that you really can be in love and in service for the divine.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's, I just think it's just great that all this is going on. Once we know how to channel our energy and, know where to put our focus on, it's really... it's really a beautiful thing. You heal yourself and heal others and the planet too. I do
Absolutely.
meditation. My
planet
teacher,
needs healing because it's the only place we got.
That's for
it's
sure.
the only place we can go on the planet. And what are we going to do if we wreck it? Well, we are wrecking it, and I just hope that starts to stop, because we're going to have some serious problems in about 2 years if we continue the destructiveness that we've been doing.
Yes, I believe it. Just an example. So a few years back, there was Tropical Storm Debbie, and it really hit Florida bad. To me, it was almost worse than a hurricane. And I just remember I started feeling a little bit of fear, but then I said, wait a minute, we can, it can be turned around. Maybe, if I sat and meditated and, and I'm able to, because the wind was so bad, it was pushing the glass on my bedroom window. So I put on some meditation music, and I started meditating, and it really, honest to God, within 10 to 15 minutes, it calmed down. It was still, just
that's what
power.
happened. I had a girl, I was on the phone during Hurricane Katrina with a girl in Texas. She was on the Alabama border of Texas in Beaumont, and I stayed on the phone with her for over 2 hours, and we held off the wind. And when she went outside the next day, the entire house was surrounded by a circle, almost like a crop circle. And she knew that was her protected area.
Oh, wow. See, it's amazing what we can do, mind over matter. And, even
we haven't started to learn that yet. That's hopefully what these new chakras are going to bring.
Yeah, I hope so, too. Well, we know so. We know it's going to create positive change. And, it all begins with us, like we mentioned before. In your book, too, you also have notes on, you have oneness exercises. You have diagrams of the Golden Triad.
The Golden Triad is fabulous. Good for you to notice that. The Golden Triad is what we are now standing in. And if you get the book, you can see what I'm talking about. We literally are in a tall pyramid or a tall cluster of light. And once you develop yourself and you get all of them spinning, then you are in the Golden Triad. But I think the greatest miracle is the circle of light, the new circle of light to handle everything. And the new circle of light is conducted above you, I'm going to say to the eyebrow area and up. And if you meditate and you bring in the circle of light after you've worked your chakras, and you put a person in there that you're having contention with, and you put 2 chairs in the circle of light, you sit in one and the other one sits across from you, and you just stare at that person. What you're really doing is you're working with their double or their universal body, and you don't have to say a word. You just stay there and wait for all the colors that will come through to blend into light. And once they're all in that amber gold light, the problem is resolved. And you can do it wordlessly. And then you come out of your meditation, and life outside of you has changed.
Oh, yeah. It's very powerful, very, very powerful. And I'm looking here at your book, and you talk about scalar waves, too.
Scalar waves.
Scalar waves. I knew I was going to pronounce that.
Scalar waves are the waves of the weather. Scalar waves are the waves of the weather. And we measure them now when a storm is coming. That's how we can tell whether it's a Category 1 hurricane or a Category 5, because they leave wavelengths. So does the jet stream. The jet stream is full of scalar waves. And the pictures I have in the workbook, I didn't put them in this book as much, show the scalar waves in the ocean, scalar waves in lightning, scalar waves in clouds, and they really move energy.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. I actually had a scalar energy pendant, and it was really, it was changing the energy around me. And, once I get more attuned with this new energy, you won't even need anything really. Like you mentioned before, you don't really need the crystals anymore, to amplify your energy and make it, stronger.
Well, I've created two things. I have on my website, which is www.new-visions.com, a wonderful, fabulous meditation tape called The Chakras and Your Body. And the music behind my words is Richard Schulman. Now, I don't know if you know Richard. He's a wonderful New Age musician. And he did all of the music for this MP3 file that I have, and you can download it and work with it every day. And if you work with it every day for 4 months, your third eye will begin to open. You will feel the power. Then I recorded in 2010 the new invocation, opening the spiritual chakras, which is just as powerful, but that takes you higher. First of all, I believe you have to balance the 7, and then you go to the spiritual chakras. You have to get the 7 in balance and in use on a daily basis first.
So you have to get in balance first.
Before you ascend.
Before you ascend. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So you have to clear up what's around you. And then life just becomes a beautiful day after the next. You really can live in the moment because you're so grounded and so centered, and you feel strong, and you feel that you can achieve almost anything. You have to put your mind to it. You have to learn how to work with other people and work on relationships and work on trust, and you'll see your life grow and change. And you'll meet new people of a higher caliber, the ones that don't have to give you your karmic lessons anymore, but the ones that can reach out a hand and say, here, let me help you. I see you want to do that. I have some suggestions. And that's fabulous. A fabulous way to live.
It is. It absolutely is. I was starting to experience that, because I was always the person I was always the go-to person. And now, my friend Elle, she reached out to me and she said, I know you want help with this. I was learning the access bars energy healing. And,
my girlfriend teaches that. She's great. She's learning that too. That's kind of
great.
New, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah.
Yes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that works, and maybe I can relate it to the book.
Oh, sure, yeah. There's just like a halo around your head. And you put the one hand on the halo and the other hand towards your brow.
Actually, let's not call it a halo. That's incorrect. It's the 4th level of the aura. It just came to us. The color is amber, which is probably why you think it's a halo. And
right,
it is a gift from the galaxy for the 5th dimension, which is part of what the 8.5 chakra is about. And the 8.5 chakra is bringing that energy into the physical body as much as the physical body can transcend and use it. Otherwise, if it came in too fast, it would burn it up. Right.
Like I said earlier, when I first started learning Reiki, it's like the energy was so intense. It was very hard for me to handle. It actually let loose. It's like I felt like a really bad pain in my spine, and it shot out through the top of my head. And
that's your Kundalini.
Right?
It's not a pain, honey. Honey, it's not a pain. It's like digging through a tunnel. You're digging through a tunnel to get out to the top. And I'm sure it felt painful. It does feel painful, especially when you do the breath of fire. So it joins with the Shakti energy that comes in from the universe, joins the Kundalini at the heart center, and then you experience something called nirvana. And then the heaviness, the dread, and the fear leave, and you're in a whole different state. Isn't that true?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But I'll never, ever forget that. It was like, first it was like a coil was released, like when you spring a coil, it was like boing, and it just shot up.
Yep.
I just remember, seeing the symbols and the signs and seeing like moving pictures, and it was really an experience.
And you never have to do that again. Isn't that great? You never have to do that again.
That's great.
Now you have open access to it.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the halo and putting the hand on the head of the 4th level of the aura. Tell us more about that.
Yes. What this does is it really helps to balance you, because I was having a real problem balancing. I mean, even though I've learned, I've known and learned about Reiki since about say 2006, 7. It was still a little hard for me to rein in my energy, because I felt like I was taking in too much at one time. And what the access bar, that one movement where you put, I usually put my right hand, on the back of my head, in the ridge, and then, right above the brow with my left hand. And it really helps me to balance when I'm feeling overloaded.
And what you're doing is you're taking your 8.5 chakra and your third eye, and you're balancing the energy, and you're slowing it down so that you can access it better and use it instead of flooding.
Right. Yeah, because I've experienced like way too much energy at one time, and it's almost as if you're watching TV and you're changing the channels constantly, and that's how it felt like.
Do you use white light to protect yourself? Do you surround yourself with white light every day?
Oh yes, I'm actually purple light. I work with the violet flame. I do violet flame degrees, and it usually helps me. But
you don't want to work with the purple light. You don't want to work with the purple light any longer. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to raise you up. You want to go to the white amber light. The purple light is 4th dimension. The white amber light is 5th dimension. And the way that everybody can balance themselves is to take their right thumb and put it in the center of their left palm and hold it at their navel and breathe and start to feel the balance. And then you bring in the white amber light of the heart center, the 10th and the 4th chakras, and you surround yourself with that, and you will bring in balance. And then things that have been problematic will begin to clear up.
Oh, that's great. That's a nice little exercise, and it's easy, too.
Yeah, it is easy.
I was actually doing that while you were saying it, and I closed my eyes.
I have an honor for the violet flame. As a matter of fact, Richard Shulman and I brought in the violet flame in 1991. We brought it in Wyckoff, New Jersey, in a yoga center, and that's the first time that it really appeared vividly. But now we are 20 years later, and we're working with the higher energy of the amber crystal. Have you had any attraction towards the color amber or the color magenta?
Oh, absolutely. I have so many amber pieces of jewelry, and I've always been attracted to that orangey yellow, like citrine kind of color, like a citrine stone. Yeah.
Well, it's different than that. Citrine's a little dark. I'm just trying to make it clear so people don't get it mixed up. But it is amber, and it's very natural. Amber, is natural. It's made by our insects and bugs, and so this is natural, and it's in the aura. If you can see auras, or even if you go and have your aura taken, it should show up, should begin to show up. If it doesn't, it simply means your 8th chakra hasn't opened yet. And you can get that to open. You work with the 7 first, and then you can work with the circle of light, or you can start to open your 8th chakra. The 8th chakra, each chakra has a crystal, as you know, but the 8th chakra has a clear quartz crystal, and it's above your brow, your lotus, the violet lotus. There's your violet flame, but it's above it. It's clear quartz. And it opens up to the 10th chakra, which is right above it, bringing down that amber.
Oh, wow. So that's pretty strong energy, too. It's pretty strong. Yeah.
It's from the double helix, and there's only one person on this planet that I've met that can access and use that energy for healing at this time. Only one. And her name is Pujita. She lives in Japan. And she does something called Radiance Healing. And there is a website called radiancehealing.com. And it's amazing what she does. She knows, of course, that I wrote the book, and she really encouraged me to. And every time I'm with her, which is once a year, we spend time, and she teaches me new things about working with the 5th dimension. In other words, way back when people would work with a photograph. Stephen Lewis works with a photograph, but now there's a way to take all the photographs and put them into a cloud, almost like the cloud on Apple. I said Apple really discovered something when they got the cloud. You can put them into an energy cloud, and you can work with all of the pictures at the same time, and that saves time. Because we have to work with groups now. It's going so fast.
Oh, yeah. I believe that, absolutely. Absolutely. I usually take a little bit of a musical break. I had a little trouble getting on air before. I just want to make sure everything's working right. I'm just going to play a quick song, and then we'll come back. I'm just going to mute the mics for a minute because I see there's a little interference on the computer. So we'll be back. I'm going to play I've Got the Power by Fireflight. That's a really neat song. It's about the light within that keeps us going. So I thought it was appropriate for tonight's show. So I'm going to play that, and then when we come back, I'll have some more questions for you. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being patient.
No problem.
So I had a few other questions for you. I was wondering, what is an overactive chakra and how can it be slowed down?
Well, an overactive chakra is one that's receiving energy and isn't able to use it in a balancing way, so it can make you feel nauseous or sick, or sometimes they're not overactive, sometimes they're just blocked. And you work with it because there's always an emotional, our emotions is what causes our blocks, our emotions and sometimes our decisions. So we really have to ask ourselves what is going on, how can we handle it, and to be led, please lead me out of this. What can I do to bring it into balance? And usually you will be told. Sometimes it's very good to go and either have a reconnection healing or some kind of way to have somebody else work on you and bring it back into balance. And you don't have to really know what the issue is. You really just need to recognize that you're out of balance and have the desire to come back into balance again.
Yes. And also, what is an underactive chakra and how can it be activated?
Well, that's the same thing. You activate your chakras every day. Most people don't have their chakras activated at all. Are you aware of that? Almost
yes.
90% of the people on the planet do not activate their chakras. And it's because they don't know about it, they don't know how, or if they do know about it, they don't believe they have to take the time. But we are in such intense energy right now that I think it's best to take the time. And if you can't do it every day, you should at least work your chakras 3 times a week. And that's how you get them in balance and how do you get them moving again. Sometimes just taking a warm bath with candlelight, sometimes playing soft music or playing Ardust, the music I told you about, will bring you back into balance again. As a matter of fact, I tell parents of their teenagers that are studying for their high school exams to play Ardust while they're studying and to sleep with it going in the bedroom, to sleep with it all night, 24/7. It changes the entire vibration of the body. Like I said, it's an old, old mantra, and it means prayer beyond prayer.
Nice. And I was also wondering, how do you know if a chakra is open and spinning and when it's not?
You know more when it's not than when it is by your sense of balance. You can muscle test chakras, so somebody else would have to do that for you. If you think you have a chakra problem, hopefully you have a trusted healer that can help you find out about that. Just like you'd go to a dentist for a toothache, you would go to your healer for a chakra ache.
Right.
I think that's more of our coming. I think that's coming more into our reality than we realize. Carolyn Miss has done some wonderful work in medical intuitism and showing that we need to do more to bring our bodies into balance. And you've done your Reiki too, so you know what I'm suggesting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's just doing the chakra work. When I first got initiated kind of like into the, clearing the chakras, I used Doreen Virtue's chakra clearing meditation. And the first time I used it, I heard a voice above my head say, "Hello there, stranger," like a beautiful voice. I didn't know who it was, but it was
your blessed higher self.
Ah, cool.
Doreen Virtue was my student years ago.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
I just want to tell you that when you hear that "hello, stranger," that's your blessed higher self. That's the person that tries to get in touch with us. It's a part of us. It's a part of our soul. It's the invisible part of us, the part of us that we use to soul travel. But it is you. Your blessed higher self is the higher part of you, and it holds all memory of all lifetimes. So that's who said "hello, stranger." Sometimes when people come to me for psychic readings, and sometimes one will sit down and the blessed higher self will start talking so fast because they couldn't wait for somebody to be able to hear them to tell my client what needs to be said. Why are you doing this? What's wrong? Don't you know better? Of course you know better. Why are you doing this? What is it? That type of thing. I think that the blessed higher self sometimes likes scolding, even though we've given it up in the new age.
Yeah, that we have. But wow, I'm so glad that you told me that, because for years I kept wondering. This happened to me back in 2008, going into 2009. Yeah, I started doing this, and for years I was wondering, who was that? So that's
now,
really.
The only thing I can say to you is that you are such a baby. You're a baby. Because you just started, and that's why I'm saying that. People meditate for years, 25 and 30 years, before they even begin to hear the inner voice. The inner voice, there's a couple of parts of us. Let me explain. We have our blessed higher self, and our blessed higher self is always learning and taking instruction and receiving knowledge from our guides and our angels. We also have at the solar plexus, by the way, the solar plexus is now green. At the green solar plexus, which is where we're doing all of our healing and where we make our decisions and where we hold the ego, we have something called a divine helper who is angelic-like. So you can talk to your divine helper if you feel a little weak or if you feel a little unsure. What am I here to learn? How can I know what is true? Please help me. And they'll help you either through another person or a dream or some kind of inner awareness. You will always be helped. When you ask, you will receive every single time without fail.
Oh yes. Something I like to do is if I have a question for something, I'll call in my guides and angels, and then I'll actually have a dream. I usually do this right before I go to bed, and usually I get my answer in a dream. And
yes, and most of us do. In fact, Einstein said he got his best formulas at 4:00 in the morning when he was asleep.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty amazing.
Have you heard of Paramahansa Yoganandaji? Have you heard of stuff? Well, he came over from India, from the East, to teach their philosophy to the West, to mix it and bring it to Christianity, to strengthen Christianity. And he was honored. He spoke at the United Nations. He was such a peaceful man. But he wrote a wonderful book called Man's Eternal Quest. And if you read that book, you would really understand how life works. And you would really understand the division of the souls from the other side, the souls, the angels, the difference between a guide and an angel, and there are differences. I wrote the book Ascension, Accessing the Fifth Dimension, and that really takes you through all of the dimensions. There is a lot of knowledge in that book, including the Circle of Light and the new chakras. And then it's all connected back to Atlantis, because I believe that the great teachers of Atlantis, and I believe that the yogis that live up in Tibet and meditated in those caves knew about the spiritual chakras, but it wasn't made public. But now it's here for all of the animals, all of the plants, all of the people. It's all here, and that's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, it is. And about Paramahansa Yogananda, I met his direct disciple, Roy Eugene Davis, at the Center of Spiritual Awareness in Georgia, and what a great guy he is. I just wanted to give a shout out to him because he's just a regular guy. He's not like the Grand Poobah or anything. He's just a regular guy. In
sure,
in a in a flannel shirt, and he was one of the greatest teachers.
I worked with Bob Raymer, and Bob Raymer was also a direct disciple of Yoganandaji.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's wonderful. And, what an experience it was, to just be in his presence and to just, and that he was so humble and that he was such a great teacher. He had a lot of patience and, just like you, I can tell you're a great teacher yourself because, you have a lot of patience and you just, I can actually feel your energy. It's a very loving energy and, just so wonderful to have you on the show.
It doesn't get riled up. When it gets riled up, I'm telling you, Sue, I do not tell people what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to hear. I tell them the truth. And sometimes there are such astral battles with the beings and the darkness around people that it's hard to make them listen. And then they say, well, you're pushy or well, you're trying to force your ideas on me. That's not true. What it is true is that they're not listening to what they need to hear. Right. Because my gift is that I can take somebody's energy and pull it through my body and bring it out to them and say it in their language so that they can hear.
Wow.
So that they can make some changes in their decision-making process and make some changes in, how they relate to people, who they hang out with so that they can improve their life.
That's wonderful. I'm working with somebody right now that's having a consistent battle with alcoholism, and he over and over again. He has such a great desire to beat this. He's been in rehab, I'd say, over the past.
You're working with him? Are you doing any present life or past life regression work with him?
I'm not.
Are you doing any meditation exercises with him and asking him why he thinks he has that addiction?
Well, I did ask him. I said, well, what's pressing you so bad that you feel like you need to escape from? Because he's constantly escaping. And it's very difficult for him to deal with life. I mean, he's come almost full circle since I've known him, but
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
If he can improve just 2 hangnails, then we're all happy. But part of going within is looking at yourself and understanding that nothing happens to you, that you create all of it, every bit.
Right.
And every person that you meet, every encounter that you have, you've called in with your electrical system. So one of the questions you can always ask yourself is, how did I bring this to myself, and what do I need to learn?
Right.
How did I bring this to myself? Don't blame the other person, because you're 50% responsible.
Right.
How did I bring this to myself, and what did I need to learn? And how can this be healed for the good of all concerned? And that's where you use the circle of life.
See, I need to learn from you, because to be honest with you, it is very challenging. I mean, I'm thankful for the challenge, but I want to see him get better and not suffer anymore, because he's a good guy, and he
but remember what suffering is. Suffering is a learned experience. So he probably had an adult, either a father or a mother, who was an alcoholic.
Right.
Suffering is a learned experience. You don't unlearn something that you've learned. You just learn better ways. How did I bring this to myself, and what is this really all about? And if I'm afraid to take self-responsibility, how can I try to take it and learn from it and become stronger? What can I do? What step can I take? I remember the first step I took in self-responsibility. Actually, I was in 7th grade, and this girl kept snapping my bra at the back of on my back, and it got so bad that I had a terrible, terrible blister. And one day I just turned around and I slapped her, and that was the end of it. Now, you hate to have that kind of violence. It wasn't really violent. It was just, she was so shocked that I would ever stick up for myself that she stayed away. And that's just an example of what sometimes has to happen before you can straighten somebody out. There has to be some kind of a, smack across the head event. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that as a wake-up call.
Right, yeah.
There has to be something that is going to stun you into realizing that you're on the wrong road, and it's time to really think about what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard when you're a healer and I shouldn't say it's hard, we can make things easier, but for me the challenge was not to react, because I've been taught not to react. Yeah. And it's. But
I also made something else with Richard Chilman. It's called Spiritual Meditation and Healing, and you might want to pull that off the website. There's a part of my website where I have all of my CDs, and you just would download it and listen to it in iTunes, and it's very informative, and it does discuss these things about what the healer needs to do before the client even arrives.
Oh, that's great.
It's
I would
being in
check in.
And you can be in touch with somebody's pain without actually seeing what the incident is, and you can lighten that pain with this new energy. And the pain just goes. Doesn't matter what the pain is. It melts. Not all of it, but what's up on top. And then you go down to the next layer. And then you go down to the next layer.
Oh, that's good to know. I mean, the one thing that concerns me, when I try, when I do my best to facilitate healing, I always try to protect myself, but sometimes it doesn't always work for me. I'm still in that learning phase, and what would you suggest, for a healer, so that they don't really soak up?
All right, let me tell you something. You're always protected. You do have to do a little ritual, and if you listen to spiritual meditation and healing, you will be instructed step by step by step. But I'm going to tell you what I think every healer should do. In the morning before you're going to see clients, you meditate on each client and each name. And you ask your guides to bring in their energy to heighten your understanding so that you'll be at full capacity when the two of you meet. And usually you get wonderful insight at that juncture. Then surround yourself with white light, call in your angels, surround yourself with the white amber light, and ask to be protected. And anything that comes off the client goes back to the universe to be recycled. I send it to a sphere of light where it can evolve. Whatever the ugliness, whatever the darkness is, recycle it. Don't take it on your own body. Make sure that you make that statement. That's called setting a condition. And when you set a condition, the universe listens. And that's what you can do.
I needed to hear that. Thank you.
Well, it's awesome. It really will make you a more desirable healer, and it will make people want to come. It will allow them to feel more comfortable with themselves, and it will protect you. So it does a lot of things. It does the best for all concerned. And that's what you're asking for.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, because there were a lot of times where I was able to, meditate before seeing a client and just putting up that, kind of like a shield of protection. I've always heard about the white light, the pink light, and, even the purple light.
White light or amber light, no pink light. The pink light that is seen in healing is always the mother. Always the mother. You can't buy it, you can't bring it in. It comes from the divine. When you see pink and you're doing a healing, you have the mother energies around you. You have higher forms of energy around you. A softening, a caressing, a caring. But that's something that comes. That's called divine grace. The only thing that can give you grace is God.
Right. That's true. Absolutely true. I can't believe an hour has passed by. I'd love to have you back on the show. I wanted to talk also a bit about, you have another book about psychic protection. And,
Attack, Are You a Victim? I have 8 books. I'll go through them for a moment, if I may. Psychic Attack,
sure, yeah.
Are You a Victim? Was the first one I wrote in 2007, and that was because I had gone to court and helped a lot of people get their money back from people that stole from them, from the gypsies that do scams. Then I wrote Ascension, Accessing the Fifth Dimension, and that book was put in my body by the Holy Mother, the Hugging Saint, because I asked her to give me that book, and she did. Then I did the workbook. Then after that, my twin sister got very ill, and I had a summer where I had to really care for her, but I always am writing, so I decided to take all of the things I had already written, all of my classes, and put them into a book of 3, a trilogy, book 1, book 2, and book 3. And each one has different subjects, and if you go to Amazon.com, you can read the chapters and see what the subjects are. And the first book, which is read for the root chakra, is called You're Opening to Your Intuition and Psychic Sensitivity, Book 1, and that's great for teenagers. It's a great gift for anybody that's just coming into this kind of knowledge. Then Book 2 is a little bit higher. That talks about dreams. It talks about astrology. Book 3 talks about soulmates, the Akashic records, and it takes you to very high places. So as you know, there's meditations and exercises in each book. Then after I did the trilogy, I did something that I was instructed to do called Seeding and Nurturing the Garden of Your Soul. And that's just like taking, it came from the masters. The masters said, you must write this. And they said that it was so needed now because people had gotten away from it. It's spiritual law. And I have the 25 spiritual laws in the back of the book. And people forget about spiritual law. They forget about it for themselves and their actions, and they forget about it for other people. So it's a wonderful book that you would pick up almost like a daily. You'd open to a page and you'd have some kind of a lesson. Seeding and Nurturing the Garden of Your Soul. And then this one that I just finished is the New Spiritual Chakras and How to Access Them. And they're all on Amazon. The two that are not on Kindle is this latest chakra book and Ascension, because I was told not to put those books on Kindle. But all the rest of them are on Kindle.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I will have to get. I say this with all the truth in my heart. I'm definitely going to get all your books, because I can just tell that you're an amazing healer, and I just love that you're teaching everybody how to heal themselves, the others, and other people and the planet, and just it's all wonderful things. And please remind everybody how they can get in touch with you or access information.
Sure. My website is www.new-visions.com. I also have a 24-hour answering service if you want to ask more questions or book some time with me, and that's 201-934-8986. Please, please go to the website and go to Psychic Services before you call me, so you don't have to ask me prices or anything. It's all spelled out there, and there are many choices.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out and spending it with myself and our listeners, and definitely want you back on the show. I'm really thrilled that you were able to talk with us tonight, and I wish you many blessings, and I just want to thank you again.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. You take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, this concludes our show for tonight, and I want to thank everybody for listening, and definitely check into the New Spiritual Chakras and How to Work with Them by Elizabeth Joyce, now available. So have a wonderful night, everybody, and I'll see you next week.